Hello everybody, Average Gamer here, and welcome to a wish list video for Hearts of Iron, for Franchise Hockey Manager 4. So as we all know, it recently went into the initial stages of development, and they kind of hinted that, if people are interested in kind of, for a couple ideas to communicate them to them, and they will look for them as time progresses. Well, I thought, since I have all these good ideas now, take a sip of water here, I would communicate them now, kind of get them on video so I can kind of get into it now so I don't forget. With that in mind, let's get at her. So the first thing I would like to see in the game is actually a 2D actual game engine. What I mean by that is if you watch, for example, Soccer Manager, the one that's recently out, they see, for example, Quill18 here, another Canadian YouTuber play. It has the ability to see the actual players just as balls, just as like a circular ball, like a little circle with their number, so you know which player it is, on the soccer field, the pitch, whatever they call it. I would like to see something like that for hockey. We already have the ice surface. We already have the thing showing what's going on. It just needs to kind of show it with a player, basically. I know it would probably take a little longer to kind of encode stuff like that, but to be honest with you, if that was in the next game, already, to me, it's already a big step in a good direction. Have it so that it only shows goals or scoring chances, penalties, you name it. You can actually set it up to tell you what you want it to play. For me, I would just say just play highlights. So, penalties, goals, things like that. And have it so that you can kind of see it. Along the same lines with the same game there, which I'm thinking about in this one, is speeches. Being able to, as a coach or even a GM, give speeches to your players to inspire them, to make them better, or even worse, possibly. Have some sort of impact that way with your players. Have the ability as a GM / coach, or just GM, to have pre and post game interviews with the media and having interactions with the media. Obviously, positive standing with the media would positively impact your standing with the owner, right? Look at Brendan Shanahan of the Toronto Maple Leafs, for example. Team's not the best. They're definitely overachieving this year, but everyone's looking at Brendan Shanahan like the second coming. All he is the president, the president and alternative governor, and Lou Lamoriello is the GM, but they can do no wrong in the eyes of the media right now because they're doing amazing. They're almost in a playoff spot, or at least they're fighting for one. Well, you can, talk to the media before and after every game, beginning and end of every season, interact with them, even have a media skill incorporated into the skill system. In my eyes, that would be something that would kind of give things a little bit more of a spice up. Have one more thing for you to think of, one more thing for you to do. Because one thing I will admit, in between games right now, I feel a lull. There's 2-3 minutes between, sometimes there's, between games where I hit the button and it sims to the next game and there's nothing for me to do for 2 or 3 days. I know, as a GM of a hockey team, you're constantly doing stuff. You're in meetings, you're talking to coaches, you're talking to everybody. Which brings me to the next thing that I think this game really shines on and can really, really, really elaborate on. The email system. Now, hear me out. The ability to both send and receive emails. So I can send emails to my coaches, getting ETAs on players, getting emails from players and coaches about where they're seeing things, where they're evaluating things. For example, right now we get emails from our medical team when players are injured. Well, I wouldn't mind getting emails from my coach with his evaluations. I can tell him, report weekly, report monthly. Report every 10 games, say, for example, where I want him to evaluate the team every X amount of games or X amount of days or weeks or what have you, and tell me where he thinks we're strong. Players think areas where we have an abundance on the team and areas where he thinks we can get better. I think that would be amazing. Like having it so that people are constantly giving you feedback, being able to email your coach, your trainers, your assistant coaches, and interact with them and affect them, so that they also then affect the players. For example, dealing with a defensive coach and telling him to get more offensive. Well, obviously he's not going to like that. He's not an offensive-minded coach, so he's not going to do as good when it comes to training players offensively. So instead of them getting, say, a +1 skill and an offensive rating once every month or so, they're now getting a +1 and an offensive rating every 3 months or so now, because he's not that good at it. Having a morale for the coaches, trainers, scouts, and all that stuff, because you're interacting with them via email every little while. That, in my eyes, will give the game more of a personality, which also brings into an interaction with the president/owner. Having the interactions with the owner as well would be an amazing thing. The media as well, being able to email the media and tell and kind of leak them information a little bit. Like, hey, we're just going to leak some information that so-and-so is being sent down. Give them little tidbits of information, telling them who the starting goalie is for the next game. Stuff like that, right? Being able to kind of talk to the media, influence the media, while also at the same time your owner, your coaches, and all that stuff. And have both positive and negative impacts. I think would be a really good thing. That also give you something to do between those 2 or 3 minutes between simming of games, right? That you hit sim to game, and you sit there for 3 minutes doing nothing. But if I hit sim to next day, go to the next day, I've got 5 emails. Check my emails, do my thing, go to the next day. 4 or 5 more emails, go to the next day. No email. It just skips that day, goes to the hockey game. In that hockey game, I've got a little pop-up that pops up in my email box. It's pre-game interview with so-and-so from the media. This person is asking me questions about how I think the team is doing so far, how I think the team's going to do tonight, how I think what do I think we need to do against the following team, how do I feel about the following team, what are my opinions on player X, Y, or Z on the other team. And then when the game's over, how I felt about how the game turned out, how I feel about player X or player Y on our team, player X and player Y on the other team. Stuff like that. I think that would give the game lots of spice, lots of little things. It would give it personality. Lots of interaction, feel very lively. Seasons will last a lot longer, yes, but it'd be very, very interactive, and I like that. Also, the ability to email players' agents would be a good thing. Telling the player, hey, listen, I'm not renewing your contract next year. Because right now, right, as a player, you play, and every now and then on the right in the news section there, it'll pop up during the off season that so-and-so is going to test the free agency. Team so-and-so is not going to sign an agent. It's like, well, if those are there, why can't I do it? I don't like the fact that I can't do it. Well, what if I could email the media or even email an agent and say, hey, listen, just so you know, we're not renewing your player's contract this year. So now that the season's over, he can, as of the 30th, look to his own future. Cool, no big deal. What if also you can send messages to, the media and give them false information? Tell them that, even though so-and-so is going to be a free agent, but like if they say a player's told you he wants to be a free agent this year, he's going to be becoming a free agent, blah, 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 blah. You can then send emails to the media saying that you're looking forward to him re-signing a large contract with you, and obviously downgrade how he is with everybody else, right? So also becomes a whole give and take with the media as well, right? Being able to use the media to influence players' decisions or agents' decisions, other teams' decisions. It'd be very interesting. Now, I know not all of these things can be incorporated, so there you go. Skills. The skill point system where you spend points at the end of every year that you earn, I don't mind that. I feel, though, that it's very easy to game it. Throw a lot of skills in your negotiation, lower the amount people are willing to get paid to play, stack your team, get winning records, earn lots of points, spend half of those on your negotiation, spend the other half everywhere else. And you can just grind through the whole thing as fast as you can. Not a fan of that. It's very easy to min-max. What I think would be a good idea for the next one is have a skill point system that affects your stats as a player or as a manager slash coach would be what you do. So, for example, coaching, so defensive, offensive, goalie coach. If you hire certain players to play certain things, there's like certain assistants and coaches that are of certain minds that should impact you personally. Decisions you make as the season goes on should impact your skills. If I decide to hire a lot of defensive coaches in all the different aspects, that should affect my skills. If I have a lot of prospects that I'm signing and I'm making a major priority to prospects for the future, I should get some sort of skills associated with dealing with prospects, training a lot of them, dealing with them, getting their stats up and all that stuff. I should get some sort of natural bonus with that, meaning that I get experience with that stuff. With every set of experience brings up a point, so I kind of level up, almost like an RPG system, where my actions impact my experience, which impacts my actual ranking for skills. I think that'd be a good idea. Which also is the interactions, right, in the games. So if I'm talking during a game to players, telling them to be a little bit more defensive, do this, do that, and my terms end up being more defensive, my options that I pick will also impact my skills, right? So I think that would be a good thing. I had another idea there and I totally just whiffed on it. One of the reasons why I want to do this video so I don't forget my ideas, and I just forgot one now. But yeah, the ability, negotiations. So I would like negotiations to work out just a little bit better, right? It feels like I hit a button, they give their offer. I hit a button, they give another offer. I change a number, I hit an offer. And it's basically just click, 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 click. No big deal. I would like negotiations to have more of a flavor to them. Like they say, I want $17,500 a year. I respond back, well, how about I give you $14,500? I make the offer. I get back from them, I'll hear back from them immediately in my email, or I'll hear back from them the next day from their actual agent. And the agent will say, hey, thanks for this. No, you know what? How about instead of the $14.50 that you're offering, we're willing to go down. We're willing to go down to, instead of $17.5, we're willing to go down to $16,750. And slowly interact with the agents as it goes on, right? Right now, I feel contracts are too, simple click, 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 click. And then you hear back from them a couple days later, and it's like, well, I'm being offered possibly something by another team. What do you think? Click, 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 click. I feel as though, because we all know, right, agents have multiple players multiple players under their contract. So if we could deal also with agencies, like actual agencies. Like if I can turn around to an agent and say, here's the deal. I know you have the following 3 players on my team that are all under the same, you're all under you. What if I were to sign so-and-so to this contract? Would you be willing to cut back on so-and-so's contract when it comes renewed? And have these little backdoor deals as well, right? One thing as a Maple Leaf fan, we have a thing, it's called being robo-dead. Basically, that's where a player is quote-unquote hurt, but not really hurt, but disappears. Basically, the player's agent, and the ownership and the GM have come under an arrangement where the player says he's hurt, the team says he's hurt. Medically, he ain't hurt, but no one's going to argue because that's what's going on. There's medical stuff showing that he's been hurt, and technically he was hurt, but he ain't coming back. So the ability also to do certain things, right? Interact with players and do stuff, I think would give something to kind of help season the game up a little bit. Give me something to do between the games, between the seasons. Interact with coaches, trainers, scouts. Right now, I feel like the game itself is very good as a foundation. But if we could build upon the email system, being able to send and receive emails to all the different people, having media interactions, having pre and post game interviews would be good. Being able to interview players as well. One thing I always remember that really that kind of got me, that kind of took me in that direction was I was watching on TSN. They were doing a behind the scenes thing for the scouting combine, and the players. One of the things they do is they do an interview. Well, I mean, during the negotiations of a contract, it's going to be you, the player, and their agent, right? Theoretically, you should be able to ask some questions. So, as a player, do you want a long-term contract? Like, you should be able to also ask the person a lot of questions. So you should also be able to tailor the contract better to them, right? Even if it's just as simple in an email, you can have the options. You click the questions you want to ask them. Like have maybe a list of 10 questions, and you can ask 3. You ask the 3 questions, you get your response. And depending on the questions you asked, that automatically generates the type of contract they're going to get. Have it randomized a little bit so that, it's not, you ask the following 3 questions and you're guaranteed a low contract. Have it so that the player specifically wants a contract of, say, $100,000. If you ask the following questions, 1, 2, and 3, it increases the contract by 10%. Or if you ask, question 1, 8, and 4, it will decrease. Well, no, have every question. It doesn't show the positive or negative impact, but the game itself knows, these questions here have negative impacts, these ones have positive impacts, and these ones have no impact. And, you sit back and you ask, player questions, and there you go. Not even that. Have it so that it's also not even players. Actually, your actual front office. I'm not just going to throw a contract at at someone who says they're above average in everything. It's like, well, why are you a free agent? So as a scout, if you're above average everywhere, why are you a free agent? Well, I'm going to ask, if I could ask questions and be like, who have you scouted that a team did not want to sign? And why did they not sign that player? Or if you had a player that you pushed and pushed and pushed to get the team to sign that did not turn out good, I would ask them questions about negativity and positivity and all that stuff. But some sort of interaction with your front office, with your owner and stuff like that is something I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully. But mainly, that 2D thing in the arena would also be just amazing. But anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time when we actually play our season. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.